Welcome back, my fellow aggressive learners. In the previous section, we talked about the float property and we looked at the behavior of the float property. But in this session, we shall look at the position static property, position relative property, and the position absolute property, as well as the position fixed property, and then finally the position sticky property. So we take a look at how some of these behave in their own when they are being defined for an element, right? So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I have gone ahead to define a couple of pages for you, just a parent HTML tag, and of course two child of paragraph tag. I called one of them one, and the second child I called it two. All right, but one of them has a child. One of the paragraph tag has a child, which I call span. So, of course, this is the parent, these are the child, these ones are sibling, this P tag, they are sibling, one and two, they are siblings. And this is what they are, this is the child of the first paragraph. All right. So, of course, the body is the ancestor in this case, is the ancestor to these guys. This is their direct parent and this is their ancestors. Please keep all this in check because many of the actions you're going to be taking is going to be dependent on your understanding of what we mean by parent and what we mean by ancestors, and of course what the child means, and all of them are basically going to be based on your understanding of our inheritance. Of course, I don't think you should be confused with this right now because I have clearly explained it in the previous videos. So let's go ahead and talk about the position static. What does the position static means? Of course, if you take a look at this, we've already defined them. Position static, this is the default position of the element. For position static, you cannot define top or bottom there, and even z index, you can't do anything there. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. It means the default position, the way it is. That is what it means. It is static, and that is how it is, and there's nothing you can do about it. So let's go ahead and give these things some basic color so that what we're doing will be making sense. So we're going to do div, which is the main div, the big guys. Let's give it a width of let's say 300 pixel. Let's give the background color. No. Let's give it a border color rather. Border 2 pixel. Solid color red. F20000. Right, good. So let's increase the border to, let's say, 800 pixel or 600 pixel or something for that's okay. Good. I think this is okay for our learning. Then let's centralize this whole thing. Text, is it necessary? Text align center. Okay, good. Just so we have some level of or let's do justify. Okay, let's go ahead. This is not necessary. Then let's give this thing a height too. A height of 500 pixel. I think that's okay, right? That's okay. And let's give this 500. Okay, good. So let's leave it this way. Let's leave it this way, right? Then let's go ahead and define the first paragraph. Let's give it a background of what? A background of purple. It's like I'm beginning to love purple, right? Let's give it a color of what? White. So I'm choosing these color values and all that, right? We're just doing this so that what we're doing will be visible. Padding 3 two realms, all right, just to make what you are doing to be visible. Let's give this one border 3 pixels, solid, and I think this should be purple. Let's remove this. I know this should not confuse you by now, so I'm going to remove this background color. Yes, and I'm going to remove this color. Yeah, and I'm going to remove the padding. All I'm looking for is visibility. So what I should do is I should do margin 4 pixel. I think this is what I need. Yes, this is what I need. This is what I need. 8 pixel. Yes, good. So let's go ahead and repeat the same thing for our second element. But this time around with a different color, right? So let's do violet. No, let's do yellow or green. Sorry, you can do hex values and all that, all right? I just want to stay clear. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the position relative, right? Now, we said position relative is what? Position relative is when the element is positioned relative to its normal position, all right? That means where it is, you have positioned it relative exactly where it is relative to another position. But however, when a position is defined as relative, you can move the top, the bottom, the height, the left and right. All right, good. So let's go ahead and test what this truly means. Let's go ahead and test what this truly means. So what does this mean? If I say this first paragraph, let's make it relative. All right, so position relative. Nothing happened. So what do? Nothing happened. We say it is relative to its original position. Now, relative to the original position, nothing happened until you apply top 10 pixel. Watch it. Increase it to 100 pixel and watch it. So you are saying relative to its original position, this is where you want it to be. Relative to its original position, you want it to be away from original position at this level. Relative to its original position, you want to move it to the right 20 pixel. Watch it. Relative to the original position, you want to move it to the left 40 pixel. Watch it. So this is what position relative does to your element. It is the position relative talks about what this element relative to what their original position. But most importantly, it will not work until you introduce a top and what until you introduce a top, bottom, right, or whatever that is convenient for you. Now that is what we mean by what position relative. Let's quickly talk about position absolute. Position absolute, this is what when the element is what when the element is position absolute to its first position parent. To its first parent, let me use the element to its first position parent. All right, and of course when you do this, it means you can move the element top, left, right, and then do z index. Don't worry, we're going to talk about z index in the future, and it's not a cause for no cause for alarm. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we mean by what a position absolute. Now, for you to define something to be absolute, that means that you must be defining that thing to be what to be that means it is the absolute is relative to something. For instance, if I say absolute here, if I define position absolute, this position absolute will only be absolute to the first parent, to the parent that has relative in it. Now, in this case, what is the parent of this tag? The parent is div, but the div has no position relative defined to it. So it is going to look for the immediate ancestor, which is what? Body, because the body has its own relative by default. So of course, this thing now, this element is going to now be absolute to what? To the body. The position absolute will be what? To the body. Let's go ahead and test that. Now, this position absolute that is currently being defined is what? Is to the body. So how do we get this position absolute to be for this particular element? So that means it's going to be what? To be this absolute to be relative to this element. That means we are going to come here and define position relative, right? Position relative. And then now you can see the moment you did position relative, the p tag immediately adjusted itself to be relative to the what? To the div tag, which is the immediate parent, because the immediate parent now has a position defined. Now has a position defined. So it is now this absolute is now absolute to the immediate parent that has position. Otherwise, if the position relative is not that have position relative, if the position relative is not defined, it is going to look forward for the body and become absolute to the what? To the body. But now that we have defined relative in the body, you can see, maybe you didn't see that. I'm going to remove that again and save. You can see what happened. But I'm going to introduce it again, paste, and I'm going to save. Watch it. We are back to the what is supposed to be, right? Good. So of course, you can go ahead and say absolute top 0. Watch the way it will stick itself. Left 0. All right. So it is now relative to what? To the body. Relative to what? To the body. So this is happening absolute to what? To the body. So it is up to you to what? To find your way around and play with this. Will actually help you to position elements in your browser. All right. Remember, sometimes you want to do some things, you don't want to do the padding, you want to use the position relative and absolute to play around images, play around content on your browser. Please go ahead. This is the best element or best property to use in achieving that what? Criteria. Good. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about position fixed. Position fixed. As simple as it is, that is what it is. So it is always the element is what? Position relative to what? To the browser. All right, relative to the browser. Now let's go ahead and now this is what we normally use in defining navbar elements. Let me try navbar. God, am I really trying to do this? Li home, just to do this as quick as possible. All right, I'm just trying to do this. So let me use this navbar. All right, so nav, I'm going to come here and I'm going to say nav, give it a background and give it a green. Sorry, I'm not using any of the hex values, and do color white. All right, good. Let me go ahead and remove this because I don't intend for us to go into long explanation. That is not what I want. So now that we have this, this is normally, I'm going to increase the height of this div, right? Increase the height to, let's say, 1200. All right, you can watch. You see the way the navbar is going inside. Is going inside with the content, everything. All right. So let's go ahead and define sticky and define what to call position position fixed. Now, what's going on here? You can see, right? So let's make this thing look more amazing, right? Good. I think we should do nav ul li display what inline. Good. So what are we supposed to? Okay, I think we are supposed to give this a width. That should fix it. Give it a width. Give it a width. Just call the width 100%. I think that should be fine. The width should be 100%. Beautiful. You can give it a padding so that the size will increase. Padding of what? Padding of padding top and bottom. One rem and zero left and right. I think this is okay enough, right? Good. Or 0.5. I think that is okay enough, right? Good. Now, remember we defined fixed, position fixed. That's what we're trying to do. Forget every other acrobatics we are doing here. It doesn't really count. It's just for you to understand what's going on. Now you can see if you're moving up and down, your home button is still, but initially when the fixed is not there, you could see that you were not able to do a whole lot of, it was actually moving along with it. But now that it is there, all right, you can see your nav bar is now fixed. All right, your nav bar is now fixed. So you can also go ahead and do top 0 pixel, all right, or top 10 pixel. It's up to you. You can see all that, right? And you can do top left 10 pixel. You can see all the 20. So it's up to you. You know exactly what you want to do with your website. Just go ahead and know that there are properties like this, and then try very well to implement them in your own project.